Good morning, everyone. Mary here, also known as Sunny Love. This is day 44 together. And I took a long time today coming on because I was pulling something together so I could figure out the best way to bring today's message so that I didn't leave anyone out of the equation. Because sometimes we don't always realize how much power we truly have earned or how much knowledge we've acquired because we were not always given an opportunity to utilize what it was we knew. You see, sometimes, I believe many times, when you're hired for a position, you feel the role of the position, but you have so many dreams and aspirations that are still underneath the surface that should be able to be shared at some point, one would hope. And so I want to share some things that I noticed and I really had to think deeply about, and I made sure I have it down, so I try not to miss anything I want to give you. And did you hear me? Give you. Not charge you, but give you. Because I'm grateful for all that I've been blessed to have been privy of. Because there was a time in my life when I didn't go to school from 1st to 5th grade that I felt I was missing out on so much that everybody else was getting. So I want to tell you, my thinking is different than many people, and sometimes they put me down for that, but I'm okay with that. But today, we will not allow anyone to cause us to shrink. So the topic of today's session I chose for you guys is this: stop shrinking for people who don't deserve you. I'm going to say it again. Stop shrinking for people who don't deserve you. And that is in every arena, across every aspect of our lives. Some people only love the small version of you. When you're small, they love that because small people are quiet a lot of times. That's what we think in our small minds sometimes. But minds stretch. And it's a terrible thing to waste. Excuse me. So they love the quieter version of you, the hurt you, the compliant you. They felt safe when you didn't take up space. They felt powerful when you didn't name what you saw happening in the room, or the arena, or the classes, or the colleges, wherever it may be that you were feeling small and you knew more than you gave. Sometimes people love that. They felt comfortable when you stayed grateful for the crumbs they were dishing out. Today is not about fixing that. Today is about outgrowing that. Expansion makes people uncomfortable, especially those who benefited from your silence. Because, see, if you speak up, sometimes it may show that you know more than the deliverer. And that wouldn't be good for a lot of spaces and places and people. I didn't always know, though, that I was shrinking. I thought I was being humble because being in ministry for 17 years under one pastor, you're grateful for everything you glean from that room. And each and every day you feel empowered, though, inside, knowing that you're learning a lot and now you want to put into action what it is you know. And so the first thing I did was went and told the people the good news I was learning. And even if they didn't want to hear it, I was still sharing it. I didn't know I was preaching, but I thought I was just sharing knowledge, and everybody's hungry for knowledge, right? And I thought I was just grateful, humble, appreciative, caring, loving, changing, but I was striving for more. I thought I was serving, and I wanted to be that servant person. I wanted to be a servant leader, though, not just being a servant all my life. And you serve, but think about it. If you don't learn how to serve, how can you be a servant leader? You can't, because you will always want to be the only one talking or showing up or doing the leading. But I like developing leaders. And so I was thinking all the time when I entered the nonprofit world, though, I was inexperienced but not incapable. I was surrounded by people who looked powerful, sounded confident, carried titles. I thought I had to earn their titles, though, before I was allowed to speak. Because, see, titles get to show up, but servants don't. What I didn't know then was that discernment doesn't come from titles. It comes from listening, and I was listening. It says, he who have ears, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to you. And I was listening to hear my spirit. Because you know what I was taught also? If you're being good, if you're doing right, you don't walk after the flesh, but you seek after the Spirit. And I wanted so much to be a Spirit-led person, while all the time I was becoming that and didn't even know it. I had been given a gift and didn't even operate in the gifts I had because I was waiting to be called. I was waiting to be given permission to show up. I didn't know that caring deeply about being a servant leader taught me to care even more deeply about the people I was seeing who I thought was as hungry as I was to do something different now, because knowledge is power. And if we don't have it, we suffer. And I heard that real well too. And I didn't want to suffer, because most times we already believe we're suffering, right? I asked questions and I studied things that I wasn't being given the answers to. So I'd come home and I'd get into the Word and I'd study even deeper. And sometimes I find myself reading a whole book. Not that I recalled everything, but I'm telling you, I was keeping some of the things I was reading. I was keeping the things that excited me, and I bet you keep the things that excite you too, don't you? See, we do what we love, but sometimes in loving too much those videos and television and media and everything going on crazy in the world, we're too busy caught up in it because they want us to keep watching. They want us to be afraid. They want us to stay small. They want us to shrink. But I can't allow what's in media or on television or in the news to define my destiny. I have one. I have hope. I have dreams. You have values. You have things you want to do. Well, you can't do everything if you're caught up in something that's taking us nowhere. I noticed who was being left behind in the rooms, and that bothered me. I don't know if it was my conscience. I don't know if it was my spirit. All I know is it kept bothering me, and I didn't want to be bothered. I wanted to be included. I wanted to be accepted, but I wanted to share too that I knew something that maybe you didn't get to hear yet, and I can share some of my news. And sometimes people think, she talks a lot. No, she talks a lot because she really has learned a lot. She learned to listen, and she learned to listen actively so I can hear what's underneath the stuff that we don't always bring up. And instead of shrinking, I was expanding. Can you believe it? I don't understand. I was expanding. I was growing. I was thriving. And I was feeling more empowered, more alive than ever before in my life. Because I knew what it was like to stay small. I knew what it was like to shrink, but I didn't know what it was like to embrace the new things I was learning. And because they wouldn't give me permission to go ahead and share something I knew. And sometimes when I'd say something, somebody else in the room would grab it and say it a different way as though I didn't know what I was saying. And so at times I'd shrink a little bit more, and they were okay with that though. I learned a new language. I learned systems. I learned how decisions rippled outward. That curiosity, what some might call too much. Oh, she's too much. Don't let her in the room. Oh, she's going to tell too much. Oh, whoa, me. And then the people won't need us anymore. They won't be victims anymore. You see, I had all the ingredients that went into being a victim because, check this out, becoming an advocate, I had to learn a lot. And one of the main things my teacher taught me was this: Mary, you're angry. And if you're angry and you go out and talk to other people, you're going to make things fall apart. So you learn to come under subjection of what you're being taught. And you subject yourself to what you're just hearing. Do your research, though. Sometimes it's not always the full picture. It's not always the full message. Just a piece of it to keep you hungry enough to keep coming back. Growing past the room you're in will cost you the approval of people who like you to stay small. And I would feel bad because they didn't want to accept me. I wanted to fit in. But at the same time, I said I stayed small for a long time because I didn't want to become what I had seen. Leaders who wanted to be above instead of alongside. I confused humility with invisibility. So I was slowly disappearing. I was slowly evaporating. And when you slowly evaporate, you don't always notice the full picture. I confused service with self-erasure. And the world is trying to erase so many people from the screen right now. But because you erase people from the screen doesn't mean they're gone. They're still there. But you don't acknowledge that. But servant leadership does not mean you pretend you don't know when you know. You don't pretend you know. You don't know what you know. You've learned a lot, and that's amazing, and that's what made me happy. I hope and believe that's what makes you happy. When we know better, we do better. And I've been wanting to do better ever since I started really, really learning the difference between dialogue and chaos. Excuse me. It means I use what I've learned responsibly. I de-escalate myself sometimes, even when I feel chaotic. And here's the hard truth. People who always need to be on top do not deserve your shrinking. Systems that benefit from your silence do not deserve your restraint. Rooms that ignore your insight do not deserve your loyalty. If you don't know you've been shrinking, you can't scale up. So let's name what that looks like. Because when you have the ingredients for a recipe, doesn't it taste better? And it works better? And it turns out right? Hey, that's it. We got this. How do you know you've been shrinking? Well, let's talk about it. You may have been shrinking if you downplay your experience so others don't feel threatened. You stay quiet even when you see harm coming. You accept roles that underuse you to be grateful. You wait to be chosen instead of acknowledging you've already arrived. Sometimes wisdom is given to a donkey. Sometimes wisdom is given to a child. So why don't you hear that child when they're trying to tell you something? They have truths too. Listen. Listen and hear what the Spirit is saying, and we all might learn something new. If you know you've been shrinking, it would look like this too. You stay at entry level thinking. Entry level thinking, what is that? While carrying executive level insight. That's what scares people. Because if somebody else hears how insightful you are, they might choose you over the messenger. Well, you know what? I never wanted to take anyone else's place anyway, because I've been given a space and I stay in my lane. And when you stay in your lane, you become an expert. Not only that, I've done over 10,000 hours in restorative practices, domestic violence, you name it. I stayed in the lane of employment readiness over 10 years. So you know what the world says? You're a master now. But I'm going to tell you one thing. When you're a master, many people are going to try keeping you from showing up in the room. But baby, today I am showing up all the way 100% of who I am and what I have been called to do. And that is, I can give knowledge away without charging. Because you know what? I felt gifted when it was given to me. Shrinking often disguises itself as virtue. Be careful. But growth requires honesty. And if I'm nothing else, everyone who knows me can attest to my honesty. Because you know why? Because I've been grateful ever since I was called out of the world into ministry to bring a message of deliverance and especially self-discovered ministry. I thank all of you who have listened. I know this is a long message, but please listen to it all the way to the end, because you know what? That end may be the beginning of a new journey, a new life, a new calling on your life for you. I know it has been for me. I thank you for subscribing. I thank you for listening attentively. I thank you for discovery for yourself, your family, and the ones you serve. I am a servant leader, proud of it. And no, I'm not less than. Really, I'm more than some who I've been in the room with. Not because I believe I'm better than them, but because I believe I'm making better decisions in my life than I ever made before during my long journey. I am 72 years old, and I feel like I just became a new being. Thank you. Have a great day. I love you. I will be with you on day 45, the Lord willing. And yes, I still have a little cough, but I have my voice back. Thank you. Subscribe, like, and please share. Have a great day. I will see you on day 45.